Okay, so good morning, everyone. So in the last class, we had looked at the one of the monohybrid cross with respect to the Mendel's experiment, taking the axial and the terminal positions of the flower as one character. So the flower position was one character, which has two alternative forms. That one was axial, the other one was terminal, and the homozygous pure breeds of those flowers, they were bred, interbred or crossbred, and then from that F1 generation we had got the heterozygous axial phenotype showing flowers, and then when they were intercrossed, the F1 generation, we got the F2 generation, which had a phenotypic ratio of 3:1. That means 3 axial flower and 1 terminal flower, and the genotypic ratio was 1:2:1, because there was 1 AA, 2 A, capital A, small a, and the small a as one genotype. So that was one example. So we are going to see next example, which is again of the pure tall pea plants and the dwarf, or what we can also call as a short Pisum sativum plant, which is homozygous recessive, that is small t. This one is homozygous dominant, that is capital T. When these two were crossed, that is homozygous dominant and homozygous recessive, from their equal traits, this will form only one gamete as in it will form two gametes, but both the gametes will be same, so that will be capital T. This will also form two gametes, that will again be but same both, so that's why it is just written as small t. And when they will combine together, what we get is in yellow color here, capital T small t, that is heterozygous dominant. So in F1 generation, genotype is all capital T small t, and phenotype is all are tall. Parents, one was tall, one was short. But in F1 generation, phenotype is all are tall. Now, when these were interbred as in, again, like I said, brother-sister cross, or the offspring which are generated in F1 generation, when you set up process amongst themselves, that is what is interbreeding. So it will have two gametes, capital T small t, and the other parent will also have same gamete, that is capital T small t. Based on the possibility of the combination, there will be three different genotypes. What you can see here, capital T small t, then there will be capital T, capital T, then there will be two of capital T small t and one small t. So the same example, I will again go back to the board and explain in detail how exactly it is done. If you want, you can ask questions in between if this part is not clear, but let's try and do this part here. Okay, so we have a tall plant, that is again homozygous tall, so that is capital T, right? And then we have short plant or dwarf plant. I hope you can see this. That is your small t, right? Both of them they are homozygous, like I said, because both the alleles they are same. Now, when this will form gamete, it can form capital T as one gamete, and the other gamete will be another capital T. When this will form gamete, it will form small t or other small t, which is nothing but the same. So this is parent generation. When we go in F1 generation, what will happen is when this gamete will fuse with other gamete, and this gamete can fuse with this gamete. One gamete can fuse with both the gamete. That is the possibility. Again, one common mistake most of the students that they do is they assume that all four possible options they are generated at same time. No, we also produce lot of gametes, right? In terms of sperm or ova. Does that mean we produce those many children? No, it's just gamete production refers to the possible combinations. Out of this, maybe one or sometimes two will get formed in the next generation. In some cases, depending on how many seeds are formed or how many ovas are being fused by the male gamete, depending on that, the number of offsprings will be generated. But these are just the possibility of combination what we write. So, what we will form or get in terms of offspring is capital T small t, capital T small t. Now, the other possible combination with the other gamete is this, that is again capital T small t, and with this possibility of the last combination, what we get is again capital T. Why am I writing so bad? Capital T small t. So if you look, all of them they are same in terms of their allele character. All of them they are heterozygous. All of them they are heterozygous dominant, and all of them will show the characteristics of being tall. Right? The reason being they will have one allele which is expressing the tall phenotype, which is obviously coming from this parent, even though the other parent has sent the other allele in terms of small t, but that has no effect because it is recessive. Now, when we cross, let's say we cross these two, any two randomly, right? They will form alleles, or in terms of gametes, this will form capital T and small t. This will also form capital T and small t. Now in F1 generation, this was the case. If we look at F2 generation, right? Again, the same possibility of combination, we try and choose each and every gamete. This gamete fusing with this, and this gamete fusing with this. Right? What you get is capital T, capital T. This will be homozygous dominant. Then capital T and small t, capital T, small t. Then this gamete is done. So we go to the next gamete. So small t fusing with this capital T. But like I said, we always write the capital letter first. So capital T small t, which is again same like this. And the last possible combination is small t, small t. That is the homozygous recessive. So if you look, the parent generation had these two phenotypes, which is coming back in the alternate generation. And let's assume like these two were the individuals which were generated by these parents, and when they were crossbred or interbred with each other, they will have this possibility of combination in the exactly same. And let's write the phenotype. So this will have F2 generation. This will be tall. This will be again tall because this is heterozygous, but it has a dominant character. This will again be tall, and this will be a dwarf. So if you look at the phenotype, there are 3 tall, 1 dwarf. So phenotypic ratio is 3:1, and genotypic ratio is 1:2:1. So genotype, that means the allele ratio is 1:2:1. Phenotypic ratio is 3:1. So you can take any two homozygous breeds, that is whether homozygous dominant for a particular character and homozygous recessive for the alternative form of that character, you will get the same genotype ratio and phenotype ratio in the next generation. Yeah. Does anyone have any doubt? I'll go back to these slides.
Sir, is there any particular reason to choose F as the letter for F1 and F2 thingy?
You mean why we use F1 and F2?
Yeah, instead of, so is it like just a random letter or?
No. There was some reason. I guess, what was it? I had read it. I forgot it actually. But maybe, I don't know if I have mentioned it somewhere. I had written it somewhere. I surely have forgotten about it. Probably. Let me see if it is there at all on this slide somewhere. No, I don't see it. But yeah, there is a reason why it referred to something fetal or something. I don't know. I'll check it and I'll get back to you. I don't remember it as of now.
Yes, sir.
So that's what is the example shown here. And like I said, we get a genotype ratio of 1:2:1, but we have to mention what that genotype is. Otherwise, we can also write 2:1:1, but then this will go front, right? So I hope you are getting what I'm trying to say. This allele is once in F2 generation. These alleles, they are twice, and the small tt, that is once. And the phenotype, that is tallest to dwarf, is 3:1. So we have to mention what are the alleles and what are the phenotypes, and then write the ratio. And these are called as monohybrid ratio, like genotype ratio or phenotype ratio through the monohybrid cross. And the third case, again, the same example is written a little bit in detail. You can go over it. This is just for your experience. Third case, again, a similar monohybrid cross, but with two different characteristics. Not two different characteristics, one characteristic with two alternative form, that is either a rounded seed or a wrinkled seed. It has round type of the seed is the dominant type. So this will be homozygous dominant, that is capital R, capital R. Wrinkled seed will be homozygous recessive. It will have small r, right? And again, in F1 generation, you will have one gamete from each side. So possibility of the combination in F1 generation is one capital R and one small r. All of these will be round seeds in this generation. That is, the phenotype is round. So when they are intercrossed with each other, any two of them, again, the possibility of combination in F2 generation, you will get one homozygous dominant round seed, two heterozygous dominant round seed, and one homozygous recessive wrinkled seed. So again, the phenotypic ratio remains there, 3:1, that is round to wrinkled, and genotypic ratio, capital RR as to capital R small r as to small r will be 1:2:1. Okay. Does anyone have any question here in any of these monohybrid crosses? If you have questions, you can ask. Otherwise, I have one question. Okay, so if you have no questions, can I ask you, is or can there be a existence of heterozygous recessive allele? If yes, why? If no, why? Heterozygous recessive. We say homozygous dominant, homozygous recessive, heterozygous dominant, and heterozygous recessive. Will it be possible? Yes, Akshay.
Sir, it is not possible because heterozygous means there are two types of alleles. The one is dominant and one is recessive. And if there is a dominant in the set of alleles, then dominant will be the what? It is dominant. So we can't find a heterozygous recessive.
Right. So again, I will go back to the board and I will show what Akshay actually said. So what we have is, let's say we'll take the same character, yeah, tall and tall. So homozygous dominant. That means both the alleles, they are dominant, right? Then homozygous recessive. That means both the alleles, they are recessive alleles. So that means when these individuals were generated, both their parents, that is father and mother, take the same allele with the same character. And then we have heterozygous, which means two different alleles. So heterozygous dominant here in this case will be capital T, small t. Now, if we write next as heterozygous recessive, can't be, because heterozygous means two different alleles. So if there are two different alleles, that means one has to be dominant and the other has to be recessive. If they are not dominant and recessive, they will fall into the homozygous type. So if they are heterozygous, that means one has to be dominant, one has to be recessive. And we can't call it heterozygous recessive. The reason being because there is always a dominant allele which is present, which will always get expressed. So there cannot be existence of heterozygous recessive phenotype at all. There will be always these three, either homozygous dominant, homozygous recessive, or heterozygous dominant. There is no presence of heterozygous recessive phenotype. So these are the one of the most important thing that we should never say that there is heterozygous recessive phenotype. That is completely wrong terminology because it does not exist. So that was the first type of Mendel's experiment, which has been done to prove a type of phenotypic ratio and the type of genotypic ratio that we get by the end of the, they are also called as now Mendel's crosses, because Mendel did these crosses. And like I said in the earlier slide here, Mendel had tried all these crosses with all the 7 features. So that means we have only seen 3 of them, right? That is with axial and terminal flower, then with tall and dwarf plant, and then with round and wrinkled seed, right? So out of these chart, this chart, we had seen the first, we had seen the second last, and the last one. But this rest 5, Mendel had also done it. And you can do this as a part of your exercise and check what is the genotype and phenotype ratio, because these kind of questions, they will be asked in the exam, either internal or external or the final board exam, to show a particular phenotype or genotype ratio in these cases. Remember, when we are using homozygous dominant pure breeds crossed with homozygous recessive, that is what we had seen so far, in all of those cases, the ratio will not change. So whether you take any characteristic, it should not change irrespective of species. It will always remain same as phenotypic ratio 3:1, genotypic ratio 1:2:1. And the condition is the one of the parent from parent generation is homozygous dominant and the other parent is homozygous recessive. And we will see how does this genotype and phenotype ratio changes if you change the parent generation things. Yeah. And again, some of the general principles. Now, so this was the one type of cross that we had seen. We will go back to the other different types of crosses which are possible. Now, some general principle based on this breeding experiments where each pair of the contrasting character depends on a pair of genes. So this is one principle. That means whether it's a tall or dwarf or round or wrinkled or yellow or green or flower color being purple or white, these are contrasting character pairs. They depend on a pair of gene, right? One will be dominant and the other one will be recessive. That means, let's say if it is a purple flower and if it is dominant, it will have that particular allele, and a white flower will also have that particular allele. So those two contrasting character will have a pair of genes which is coding them. Each individual carries such gene in duplicate, and each of the individual, whether it's a plant, animal or human, we all carry these genes in duplicate. Duplicate means there are two copies of these genes, one from mother and one from father. An individual produce gametes, that is sex cells, which have only one of the allele. Now, out of these two, when the gametes are produced, only one is gone as an allele to the next offspring to form the pair of genes, right? So obviously, like we had seen, even though the parent generation, or I will show you here in this slide, even though the parent generation had both capital R, next generation had only one of them, right? That is one capital R. Even from this, when the next generation was formed, and if you talk of one individual, he or she or that particular individual got only one of the allele from the parent. So that is what it means, that an individual produces gametes which have only one allele of a pair of gene and not both the alleles. Otherwise, this would have been so monotonous. Like tall plant will always produce tall plant, and even if you cross with any other type, it does not affect it, but it will give both the alleles. That is not the case, right? It takes only one allele, and that is the reason why we have so much of variation in the plants and even in the animal species, right? Because the alleles with certain characteristics, they are being getting transferred to the next generation. Fertilization of gametes restore the duplicate condition of the gene. What does it mean is, gametes are formed which are half number of chromosome with a particular allele. When the individuals are formed, half of the chromosome from one parent, half of the chromosomes from other parent with those alleles, they are forming again the restoration of the number of chromosome. That is, if let's say this was 23 plus R, and this was 23 plus small r, they will form 46 plus capital R small r, which was the original condition in terms of number of chromosome with the parent generation. Forget the allele, but at least the number of chromosome, they are same. Alleles can be different. The point is to restore the number of chromosomes or the duplicate condition of the genes in the every generation. And the sex cells, with respect to genes they contain, get fertilized at random. So the sex cell, that means the gametes, with respect to the genes they contain, irrespective rather, they get fertilized at random. That means, like I said, if these two are the parent that we have, and there will be capital R small r as gamete, capital R small r here also as a gamete, and based on which two gametes are getting fused, they will form the next generation. And like I said, here they have given all the possible 4 combinations. That does not mean all 4 will always be formed. It can be only one of them or maximum 2 of them. Can be 3 or 4 at times, depending on how many fertilizations has happened. But if it is one gamete, it is usually one offspring. One gamete as in one gamete from each parent, then it is usually one offspring. Like it's the same case with human also. Sometimes we do have twins and we do have triplicates and like quadruplets and so on. But that these are the rare situation. But usually one gamete from each parent will form one offspring. So same is the case here as well. Okay. Any question in these statements? Anyone? Okay. If there are no questions, okay, we will not go into the dihybrid cross today. We will start that in the next class. But we can do one thing is we will go over those different types of crosses now. So whatever we get here in the F2 generation, I guess in someone, I don't know if it was in your class, we had asked this question. Now here we are getting always homozygous, one dominant and one recessive. Now we will try to see all the possible combination making homozygous and heterozygous, right? Or both heterozygous, which will still be same like this. Yeah. So we will take one homozygous and one heterozygous, and we will see what are the possible genotype and phenotype that we get. So let's say we will take the same you can take any characteristics, so it doesn't really matter. Let's say the ton and don, right? Ton is homozygous. No, this cannot be born. This is homozygous dominant, right? And we are taking heterozygous. This will also be ton. So this will be capital T and small t. So this is heterozygous dominant. One is homozygous dominant, the other is heterozygous dominant. And we will see the process how they form in F1 generation. So this will form capital T and capital T. This will form capital T and small t. So these will be the two gametes it will form, and these will be the two gametes that this parent will form. Now, based on the possibility of the combination, this can form either this, that is capital T, capital T. It can form either this, that is capital T, small t. Then the next possible combination is this, that is again capital T, capital T. And the last possible combination is the capital T, small t. Now, if you look at the genotype, this will be tall. Rather, all of them will be tall, correct? Because all of them they have at least one allele from this parent. So they are either homozygous dominant or heterozygous dominant, right? Now, if we make crosses of this further, either we can cross these two, which is same like parents. So we should get the same individuals again. If they are these two, again it's the same case. If these are these two, that case will be different like our F2 generation cross. In the earlier case, let's say we cross this. It will form capital T as one gamete, small t as one gamete. This will form capital T as one gamete and small t as one gamete. So again, the possibility of combination is to get these two gametes together. So you have capital T and capital T, right? So these two capital T's. Then we have other possible combination, that is capital T, small t. This gamete using this, again capital T, small t. Like I said, we will have the same small t, small t. Same genotype like we had in the F2 generation in the earlier cases. So this is the F1 generation. Now, if we have tried to cross between these, right? The F1 generation, this was F1 generation. This is F2 generation, whatever we have got here. Depending on which individuals we are crossing, we will always have the same ratio. Now, if we are crossing these two individuals, obviously capital T and capital T, the homozygous dominant and the homozygous dominant, all the offsprings will be homozygous dominant because both the parents in this case will always give dominant allele to the next generation. So that is what is the pure breed, which will be always homozygous dominant. If these are the heterozygous dominant one, this is the kind of phenotypes or genotypes what we get. I don't know if there is other possible combination. Either it's between these two, or these two, or this. Now, this is one possibility that we had seen. In the other possibility, let's say we cross these two individuals. Yeah, this one and this one. Now, if you look at this, they are exactly like their parents. Capital D, that is homozygous dominant and heterozygous dominant. Homozygous dominant and heterozygous dominant. So these will give the same product. So even if we cross these two, they should give 4 individuals, right? And they will be same like these ones. So that is capital T, capital D, small t, capital D, capital D. We'll get the same individuals from these two parents, and even from these two parents, the grandparents, the grand siblings, or not siblings, the grand generation, whatever it is, in F2 generation, we will get the same offspring like we have got in F1 generation. So depending on which two we are using, the characters will change in the next generation. So I hope this part is clear to everyone. Okay. Does anyone have any doubt now here? So you can take any random characteristics and play around with it. And then you should be able to justify the genotype ratio and the phenotype ratio in each of these. Okay, so I will stop here, but then we will take the question that Yati had asked, if she remembers it. Yati?
Yes, sir, I do.
So can you please repeat? I don't remember exactly. I forgot it. Yesterday I was remembering. Today I forgot again.
Yeah, so I was asking whether we can like completely alter somebody's DNA and like reprogram it the way we want it.